going?
Hi, Lee Furseth here from the Headwaters Science Center in Bemidji, Minnesota. Hope you don't mind. I'm lowering my mask because I want you to be able to see my face. I want to be able to enunciate and talk clearly. Today's topic is bears. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a great chance that Orion's not the least bit interested. I read to Orion just about every single Wednesday. For all of you who tune in Wednesday after Wednesday at 3:30, you know he and I do this, and then you'll know he asks never stories about large carnivores, ever. Well, today is about bears. Could there be a larger carnivore? In the United States, we call them grizzly bears. In this case, we're actually talking grizzly bears, although there's a book I'd like to read today that's about black bears. Anyway, it's about bears. So Ryan, if you could put up with the story without being too frightened, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, well, let me talk about 3 other books first. All right, we're going to go back to when I was just a wee lad. Sitting on the other side of the camera is James Will. James, we're talking 50 years ago. What? 50 years ago? You're going to talk about when you were, what, 11? Yeah, that would be when I was 11. When I was 11, I would go hunting for books where the main character of the book would take in an animal and then raise it as their own pet. It was a really fun thing, and there were quite a few books about it. I lived out in the country, and the thought was always there, wonder if I could raise a wild animal. I'm just going to tell you, this was Angie Morales, our director of visitor experience, and the raptor lady. This is what she says about that idea. You don't want to do it. You do not want to raise a wild animal in captivity because, one, it's a messy proposition. It'll be messy, especially around their eating habits, but also about their other habits, as you can well imagine. It's also illegal. Now, whether it was illegal 50 years ago when I had these thoughts, I don't know. I didn't research to find out when that came into law, but I will tell you that I was always hunting for books about that. And there were 3 books I fell absolutely in love with. One, Rascal. Rascal is by an author named Sterling North. Sterling North. Great name for an author, don't you think? Especially one from Wisconsin, the woodlands of Wisconsin. His name is Sterling North. And he wrote a book about a boy who takes in a raccoon. I'm going to tell you, this one doesn't have any innocent twist to it. He actually went and kidnapped. Would that be called kidnapped? Kidnapped a raccoon. No, it would be called kitnapped, because baby raccoons are called kits. Anyway, it would be called kidnapping. And he went and kidnapped it and then brought it to his home and raised it. And in this story, I will at least tell you, it stayed true to the fact that it's a bad idea, because that raccoon got into all kinds of trouble. And he finally brings it back to the wilds. It's an interesting little twist to the story. He actually builds a canoe in his living room. There's an idea for you. Why not build a canoe from the ground up in your own living room? Get permission for that one. Anyway, that's Rascal. Next book that I would be talking about was a boy who ran away from his parents to live up in the mountains. And while he's living there, he also goes and kidnaps, in this case, a falcon. So what's a baby falcon called? I don't know that one. Anyway, he goes and steals it right out of the nest and brings it back, and he then has a falcon for a pet. Another really bad idea and illegal. The last book I'm going to talk about, and then I'll get to our actual books, is a book called Gentle Ben. Gentle Ben is by an author named Walt Morey. And Walt Morey wrote this book, and the main character takes in a bear. And as I recall, the father of the boy was absolutely against it. He thought this is the worst idea that could possibly happen. And it was the mother of the boy who goes, I think we should do this one. And so he takes the cub, raises it, and of course there's all kinds of problems in this story about not so much when it was little, but when it gets to be a full-size grizzly bear, there's a lot of things going on in that little tiny village. As I recall, that one's in Alaska. So there are 3 books where the main character brought an animal into their home as if it was a pet. That brings us to bears. Stories today are about bears. And the first one's just out and out silly. So without any more introduction, I'm going to read you the silly story. And this one is called The Brew Swap. And in this particular story, I went to the fantasy side of the library. This is not from the nonfiction side. There's nothing in this story that you actually should believe right from face value. And again, if Orion doesn't show any interest, would you please show his interest? Because this is about a bear. So, anyway, there was a letter in the mailbox at 13 Go Away Lane. 13 Go Away Lane. It was a very fun letter. Hi, Cousin Bruce. Are you excited for me? Oh, are you excited for fun? Me too. I am coming over for a fun visit. See you soon, Kevin. That's the letter that came in the mail. The very fun letter was about a very fun visit for Bruce. Bruce didn't like very fun visits. He also didn't like very fun letters. But he never got to read this one. Num, 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 num. For the last time, stop eating the mail. Bruce was a bear who struggled with fun. Go faster. No. I'm very pleased to see that all of these bike riders, all of them have helmets.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to me. Wearing a helmet is a big deal, and there they all. They all have helmets. Isn't this not fun? Get it? Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
No, says Bruce. And now for the triple barefooted dismount. No. You see the shirt he's wearing? There are Winter Olympics. They're still about 4 months away, 3 months away. But then one day, Bruce said no to fun. One too many times. Can we eat sugar and maple syrup soup all day? No. Can we make a Roman sculpture with Greek yogurt? No. Can we fly this hang glider made out of your sheets? No. That night, Bruce's family went to bed disappointed. Each of them made a secret wish. Thistle secretly wished Bruce was more cheerful. Did you hear that? Oswald the owl was kind of chiming in there. I suppose that's not called chiming. He was hooing in with his opinion about Bruce. Rupert secretly wished Bruce was more adventurous. Nibs secretly wished Bruce had more pizzazz. Now there's a fun word for you. Pizzazz. The geese secretly wished for sandwiches. Now just so you know, the geese, the goose, that's the one that ate the mail. We're staying on topic here.
The meal.
Yeah, that's it. Early the next morning, before the first rays of sun crept across Soggy Hollow, Bruce woke up to go on a fishing trip. Alone. By himself. I don't think that's a bicycle. I think we're talking motorcycle. He left a note, of course. Think what's going to happen to the note. He left a note, of course. Gone fishing, don't make a mess. Bruce. But nobody read that note either. Soon, everyone was awake. I wonder what we're up to today. That's we're, W-E-apostrophe-R-E, we're. I wonder what we're up to today. I hope it's something fun. Nobody knew that Bruce had gone fishing. Nobody knew Kevin was coming. So now you know the letter was from Kevin. And Kevin, turns out, looks a lot like Bruce. And also, nobody knew who Kevin was. Did somebody say fun? And there he was, Bruce. But not exactly Bruce. Something was different. Thistle could see by the smile in his face that he was a cheerful bear. Rupert could see by the glint in his eye that he was an adventurous bear. Nibs could see by the bounce in his step that he was a bear that has pizzazz. And the geese could see by the basket of sandwiches that he was a bear with sandwiches. You remember their dreams? Remember their wishes that they were making when they were in bed? Yeah. Rupert said, gasp, my wish came true. Thistle said, squeak, my wish came true, too. Nibs said, eep, my wish came true also. And the geese ate the sandwiches. Munch, 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 munch. All our wishes came true. We made Bruce fun. I'm Kevin. Psst. Fun Bruce thinks his name is Kevin. Wait, this must be Bruce's dongle ganger. Bruce's dingle pooper. No, Bruce's dongle ganger. That's his look-alike. Dongle. Doppelganger. Doppelganger. You know that word?
Yeah.
Wow, now there's a word to put in your vocabulary. Doppelganger. Doppelganger. It's your look-alike. Our wishes must have swapped Grumpy Bruce for this fun Bruce. So what we have here is a classic super duper dingle pooper swap. Even with the confusion, Kevin made friends right away because it is fun to make friends with a friend who is fun. Let's eat candy all day. Candy is fun. And Bruce was very fun. Hooray! You know, I think Orion likes this story.
Yeah.
I think there's little to fear in a story that's this silly. He's kind of, yeah. At first, everyone had fun having fun. Candy fight! And the fun just kept right on coming. Yes, hello. We'd like one large pizza with unlimited toppings, and for the toppings, we'd like to have 25 other pizzas. And coming. You know what that is? Pogo stick. That's another one of those things you have to pause and go, How many people know about pogo sticks? Because pogo sticks aren't a thing anymore.
I know, they're cool. I mean, I've never really seen people use them.
Oh, I had one.
You had one?
Oh, yeah. Kids had pogo sticks.
Yeah. Well,
this is all 50 years ago.
I used them a little bit in elementary school. I remember they had a few that we could bounce around on.
Well, there you go. Hey, where is Bruce anyway? Have you seen him? This is an existential question. As Bruce's doppelganger, he must be where you are not. Whoa, I have no idea what you just said. Let's have more fun. Fun, fun, fun. Let's all shout everything in shouting voices instead of talking voices. Shouting is fun. So I don't know, can you see the guys lined up along the bottom of the page? Shouting is fun. I think we have a difference in opinion there. And even more fun, indoor pools are fun. This might be an electrical hazard. Some of the fun was questionable. Are you sure this is a good idea? No, but it's a fun idea, says Kevin. Soon, nobody was having fun anymore, except Kevin and Kevin's fun friends. We love fun. I suppose I should have warned you they were coming because they appear on this page.
Oh yeah, there you go.
You know, if you look carefully at the pages, especially the pictures, you can see what's coming. We love fun, said Kevin's friends. Nibs and Rupert and Thistle and the geese wished for the fun to stop. Our wishes have gone very wrong. These are Bruce Dingle poopers everywhere. Any idea how this is going to end? Orion, do you have a guess how this is all going to turn out? They all wished for the regular Bruce to come back. Wow. And Kevin wished for more fun. Whoa, this place is a mess. Messes are not fun. Let's go have fun somewhere else, they said. So Kevin left without looking back. Looking back is not fun. As the fun bus drove out of sight, the roar of an engine and the roar of its engine faded away. Distantly, quietly, the grumbly familiar put-put-put of a motorbike could be heard. It was Bruce, the real Bruce, and not the one who was actually Kevin coming home. Bruce did not know what had happened that day. He saw the sad little mice and the pitiful geese and realized something had to be done. He decided that maybe, just maybe, he should try having fun. Okay, fine. I guess we could have fun. Fun? What? All I said was we could have fun. I think that's the kind of where they're actually crying. I think that's what that one intended to be. I'm pronouncing it right, but what's the matter with fun? Do you want to have fun or not? No, 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 no. Bruce's family said no to fun one too many times. So Bruce gave up on fun and took everyone inside. That's when Bruce saw what fun had done to the house. And Bruce was grumpy again. Everything was back to normal. The mice wanted to hug Bruce all day. Bruce wanted the day to be over. And the geese wanted more sandwiches. But they got 26 pizzas instead. Delivery! You think that's 26? I'm going to hold this up to the camera so that anybody who's out there could pause it, count the pizzas, and see. Are there 26? Well, we got one opinion in there with
I don't know, though.
26. All right, here's the book that's coming.
That was quite a resolution to that one, or sort of non-resolution.
Now, I think they're going to go on not having fun. Yeah. I think there's some... Here's the book that's coming. First, let's learn a little about bears. Now, this is the point where you can see Orion's going, I'm not interested anymore. He has now turned his back to the camera. And, boy, if he hops off, we'll truly know that Orion doesn't like books about bears. Bears. Okay, what did I do when I was at the library? Right after I got the book about Bruce, I walked to the opposite side of the library. That's where the nonfiction section is. And I got out a book because I wanted to see what is true about bears. And here we go. Now, I'm probably not going to read all of the words, and I'll do my best to get this back to the library as fast as possible. Don't go there today or tomorrow going, can I get that book on bears? I won't have it back by then, but soon. Bear relatives. Bears are some of the world's biggest mammals. Orion's a mammal. There are 7 different kinds of bears. Here you can see some of them. The brown bear, the sloth bear, the sun bear, and the polar bear. Polar bears are the biggest, and the sun bear, they're the smallest. This book is about brown bears. So is the next book. Where brown bears live. Brown bears live in forests and mountains in Canada, Alaska, and Russia. A few live in Europe. In North America, they're called grizzly bears. Some brown bears live on the cold Arctic tundra. There are no trees there, and food is hard to find. The bears in this book, they live in Alaska. Males and females. Brown bears like to live on their own. This big male stands up to see if there are any other bears nearby. He will scare them away. Look at those sharp claws. You can see the Orion's going, I don't want to even see those sharp claws. Female bears live on their own except when they have cubs. This female will look after her cubs for 2 to 4 years. What does the father do? He's absent. That's true of quite a few animals. Last week we were reading about raccoons. Raccoons, the male raccoon is largely absent. Mating. In early summer, the male bear travels a long ways to find a mate. If he meets another male bear, they will fight. Male bears are very fierce. At last, the male finds a female. He stays with her for a week or 2. After they have mated, he leaves. Finding food. The bears spend many hours looking for food. They eat a lot of grass and berries. They dig the ground up with their sharp claws to find insects and small mammals. Wow, bad story to be reading Orion because he would fit into the small mammal category. Bears have very good sense of smell and good memories. This cub sniffs some tasty food. She will remember this feeding place for a long time. She may even come back to it. Fishing. Brown bears in Canada and Alaska are huge, and they eat a lot of fish. This grizzly is trying to catch salmon. He leans forward hungrily. Many other bears have arrived. There is plenty of food for everyone. The bears are so busy fishing, they don't have time to fight. Winter is coming. It is fall. Soon, snow will cover the plants, and there will be no insects. The bears eat as much as they can and grow fat. They will eat nothing all winter. During the long winter months, the bears sleep in dens. They make a hole under the rocks, under a rock or trees. This female will sleep in her den for up to 6 months. Wow, 6 months.
Sounds kind of relaxing.
Yeah, not very exciting.
Not very exciting, but
See you next spring, they would say as they fall asleep. And they must put away a lot of calories. Now, so you know, hibernation involves the lowering of everything, your heart rate and all of those things. And so you aren't burning very many calories either. The cubs are born in winter. Here they are, 10 days old. Their eyes are still closed. They drink their mother's milk and they keep warm in her fur. So there's 2 baby cubs.
So the mothers have to nurse during hibernation.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big calorie task.
Yep. There's a word that the correct word isn't hibernation. There's a word that means kind of like hibernating. Yeah, that's it. Say it again, Wayne.
Torpor.
Torpor. Torpor. Torpor. Yeah, torpor. And it's really what bears do, and I think it's even what raccoons do. They like are in this really deep sleep, but they do come out from time to time.
Right.
Yeah. In the spring, the mother and her cubs leave the den. The snow begins to melt. This cub is 3 months old and loves to play. The cubs learn fast. They watch their mother catch a fish. They already know how to sniff the ground to find insects and roots. This young bear is now 2. He still travels with his mother and sister. He knows to watch for danger. In about a year's time, he will go to live on his own. I'm going to let the rest of this go because you can come and get this book yourself. We were just about done with it. I'm going to reposition him a little bit. Now we're going to read this story. And I'm going to tell you, when I saw this story, Winnie, I was very surprised. This is about another book and another author. This author's name is A.A. Milne. A.A., so there is his initials, Milne, M-I-L-N-E, A.A. Milne. And we know A.A. Milne by a book called Winnie the Pooh. This story is the true story of the bear who inspired Winnie the Pooh. So there's some pictures for you to come and look at. And I will tell you, I got this on the nonfiction side of the library. This is nonfiction. This is true. When Harry Colburn looked out of the train window, he couldn't believe what he saw. There sitting was a bear at the station. The train stop would be short, but Harry had to get off and see the bear for himself. So the main character's name is Harry. I'll write along with Winnie. Harry hurried out onto the platform and sat nearby. "What are you doing here, little bear?" The cub climbed into Harry's lap and licked his chin. "She's for sale," said the man, holding her leash. "I didn't see her until after I shot her mother. I don't want her. I can't care for a bear." All right, so here it brings up what Angie often says. When there's about to be an interaction between a wild animal and a human, usually doesn't go well for the animal. So the example of that, it didn't go well for the mother bear. It didn't go well now for the cub, and he has created a situation. His solution is, well, I don't want her. I can't care for a bear. Harry could care for a bear. He was a veterinarian. "How much?" Harry asked. $20. Train whistle blew, and Harry decided. He paid the man, picked up the cub, and carried her onto the train. Harry's friends asked a million questions, but the captain asked the loudest, "Harry, what in the world were you thinking?" that I had to save her, answered Harry. The cub rubbed her back against the captain's legs. The captain patted her head. I'll care for her, sir, Harry said. I'll feed her condensed milk. She can stay with me in the camp. Winnipeg can be our mascot. Thus, here comes the name of the bear, Winnipeg. Any guess as to where Harry is from? Put that guess into your head. You've already named her? Asked the captain. Yes, sir. Our company's hometown. After our company's hometown. Well, Winnipeg, the captain said, welcome to the army. By the time they reached the military training camp in Valcartier in Quebec, Winnipeg had been shortened to Winnie. So, when you grow up in Bemidji, Minnesota, when you're used to northern Minnesota, eventually you find out about Winnipeg, which is a city just north of Minnesota, kind of north of the border between North Dakota and Minnesota. And so we now know that this person is from Canada, is probably close to Winnipeg. Yeah. Harry's job was caring for the horses that would be needed for battle. Winnie's job was being Harry's shadow. While Harry listened to a horse's heart, Winnie nuzzled its muzzle. If the horse snorted and scared Winnie, Harry cuddled her until she stopped trembling. Winnie's favorite game was hide-and-seek biscuits. Using her long claws, she pulled hidden biscuits from Harry's pockets. Good girl, Harry praised when she succeeded. Sometimes Harry went places where Winnie couldn't. Then other soldier cubs sat. Get it? They cub sat, kind of like baby sat. They photographed Winnie. They took her for walks. But no matter where Winnie went during the day, she slept under Harry's cot every night. One morning, while Harry tied his bootlaces, Winnie grabbed the tent pole. The tent wall shook. Winnie, no, Harry shouted. After that, Harry let Winnie climb small trees, but he always held her leash so she couldn't climb too high. As the months passed, then the captain received bad news. The war across the Atlantic Ocean is getting worse. More soldiers and horses were needed. We must leave Canada and go to England. The ships will be leaving in a few days. Harry couldn't leave Winnie. Sir, she must come with us. The other soldiers agreed, and when the horses and soldiers boarded the SS Manitou, so did Winnie. Minnie was a good sailor. Harry wasn't. Harry lay seasick in the ship's hospital. While he was sick, Winnie played with the other soldiers, but she ran straight to Harry as soon as he was better. In England, Harry, Winnie, and the horses traveled to a new military camp. And for 7 weeks, Winnie watched soldiers practice marching. She heard gunshots when they practiced shooting. Still, every night she slept underneath Harry's cot. One day the captain said, "The war is even worse. We must go to France and care for the horses that have gotten wounded." On a battlefield, Winnie could get hurt, even killed. Harry didn't want to leave Winnie, but he couldn't take her to France. He thought long and hard, and finally, Harry contacted the London Zoo. Winnie, the zoo has a brand new place called Mappin Terraces, which is built just for bears. Zookeepers know exactly how to care for a bear. The ride to the zoo was long. Winnie sat on Harry's lap. She wiggled on the seat. She scratched at the door. Harry was relieved when he and Winnie got to the zoo. A zookeeper escorted Harry and Winnie to the Mappin Terraces. Harry removed Winnie's collar and leash. She climbed over a rock. She sniffed 2 brown cubs. She lapped condensed milk. When the zookeeper offered it, Harry was satisfied. "Winnie, I'll visit you whenever I can. When the war ends, we'll go back to Winnipeg." Harry hugged Winnie, said goodbye. Winnie and the brown cubs became fast friends. But the big Himalayan bear she approached wasn't friendly at all. He swatted at Winnie. Winnie ran as far as she could. The zookeepers were worried, but even the grumpy Himalayan bear couldn't resist Winnie. Within a few days, they were playing tug of war with a stick. "We've never met a bear as gentle as Winnie," the zookeeper said. "They trusted her so much that they sometimes let children ride on her back." Harry visited Winnie whenever he could, but the war lasted 4 years. During that time, the zookeepers took good care of the bear. Winnie had many friends. In 1919, just before Harry returned to Winnipeg, he made another hard decision. He decided that Winnie would stay at the London Zoo permanently. Harry was sad, but he knew Winnie would be happiest in the home she knew best. One day when Winnie was nearly 11 years old, a little boy visited her. "Oh, Bear," cried the boy, whose name was Christopher Robin. He hugged Winnie and fed her milk. So we do a little putting this together. The war in France lasted for 4 years, and at the end of the 4 years, if we imagine that Winnie is now 4 years old, he gets left at the London Zoo. And now 11 years later, this boy comes to visit. We're now talking about a bear that must be around 15. And they mentioned 1919, right? So we're 11 years later. We're somewhere around 1930. Here is Christopher Robin. He hugged Winnie and fed her milk. The boy's father, a well-known author, watched his son laugh and play with the bear. All the way home, Christopher Robin talked about Winnie. At bedtime, Christopher Robin and his Teddy snuggled under the covers. "Would you and Edward Bear like to hear a story?" asked the boy's father, not the bear's father. "Yes," said Christopher Robin. "But Edward has changed his name to Winnie the Pooh." "Once upon a time," said his father, "a bear named Winnie the Pooh lived in a forest. More stories followed until one day they grew right into a book. After that, the real Winnie became even more famous, although more people came to see her. Winnie's everyday life remained normal. The zookeepers treated her kindly, friendly visitors scratched her back, and gentle children spoon-fed her milk. For Winnie, this was the best way to care for a bear." Lots about the author, lots about the sources that were available for the writing of this story, a few more pictures. That takes us to the end of the story. So, lots of times our show on Friday is a follow-up. And it would be fun to find out what you're thinking. Was that a good idea? Take this bear and decide that this wild animal should become tame, pet, eventually goes to a zoo. We have lots of animals here at the Headwaters Science Center. Orion is one of them. And what do you think? Animals coming to live here at the Headwaters Science Center, is that a good idea? All of that could be a good conversation to have the next time we do a 3:30 show. Thanks for tuning in today. We're open 7 days a week. You don't have to wonder which day of the week is the Headwaters Science Center open. We're open every day. So it's 9:30 to 5 every day except Sunday. Sunday it's 1 to 5. Thanks for tuning in. Say goodbye, Ryan.